welcome the Master Artist G.H.B. So, working at a gay film festival, I feel like every year there's at least like a minimum of 3 films that are made that sort of address chemsex and the relationship that gays have to it. And I feel like all of them, nothing that I see, particularly documentaries, actually captures sort of much beyond like lurid voyeurism. And it's just, I think it's just something that has not been successfully translated into film. But there's something about the way that this film uses fiction that says, to me, something very powerful and something very poignant. So I guess my first question is, actually I don't know what my first question is. I find something very moving about this, and so I'm sort of wondering like how did you want to approach like the themes of this, like chemsex through fiction and through this film and through literature and everything else?
Thank you again for being here. This film, I guess, I was making this film since a long time because me and Vinicius, I did a previous documentary that was titled God Has AIDS, that is like a portrait of several artists living with HIV in São Paulo and talking about HIV in their art forms. And Vinicius was part of the crew of the film. And then after that, he started saying, "Oh, let's do something together someday. Let's do a film." And he's a performer. And after that, I did other films that had HIV on it in a way, different ways, many different ways. And then Vinicius said, "Oh, there is this visual aid fun, and let's try it." And then that's how, like, the idea came. It was the idea of having like the title of the Clarice novel was just based on the joke, on the sound. I mean, it wasn't. I've read. It's a very important book that we have to read in school in Brazil, and I said, "Oh, it could be funny to have like this." Clarice is very well known for like her like philosophical and people are always like posting fake Clarice phrases on internet, like usually it's not hers, and it's very cheesy, horrible phrases that she didn't write, and she's very like connected. People always think of feminine literature, things like that. So I thought that it could be funny to have like this writer inside gay orgy and see what happens. Yes. And it was funny because there are very like interesting parallels between what's written and what's happening in the film. And it was all like we decided like open a book and read the first thing. It wasn't like we planned the quotes or anything. It was all improvised. And I don't know if I'm answering your question. I was just sleeping during it.
This is right today. For the chemsex, we will talk about chemsex. We all have in our lives really chemsex stuff every day. Our friends also, and started worrying us when our friends started dying. So we thought it was important thing to talk about us. Vinicius always had this always asking Gustavo to do more about chemsex, to discuss it more. Okay, so I feel like this is like a lot of independent projects, or a lot of independent films, like a lot of people who are working on a small team doing multiple things. Because you co-directed with Vinicius, who's also the star of Matias. You also like shot and edited.
He's tried to be here, but he's in New York. He was presenting the film there, College Archive, but he couldn't make it, so I guess he would be very happy to be here, just to let you know that he tried. Yes.
So that's been, and it wasn't so you were sort of like in your layover, you were like, oh, well, I guess he's not coming to the screening today, right? We still don't know what happened, but he's in New York, probably having a good time. But I just wanted to talk about sort of, because you also were the composer and also the producer, like, what is it like sort of collaborating on something like this with a small team? What's that experience?
Well, I do usually work with friends, and it's very nice because you get to know people not only professionally, but, well, many of my friends I met professionally and then they became friends. And so it's like, it's very rich to have this opportunity to make several films and try new things with the same crew, not exactly the same, because it's always changing a little bit depending on people's schedules, but it's something that allows you to have a kind of intimacy that I don't think is usual in cinema.
Yeah, for me, it's like working with Gustavo is like doing my own things that I would like to direct also. So, as I work as technician in a lot of areas, so when I work with Gustavo, I like to do a lot of things. It allows me to do like composing sounds or producing or sometimes I do costume design or something else. So we like to change areas and heights to different kinds of work.
So one of the interesting things about this movie is the decision to have fake drugs and real sex. That just adds a really fascinating and striking layer to this movie. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. First, we thought, well, Vinicius lives in Portugal, so he would be in São Paulo for a couple of days, so we had to do the film on that time. So that also like helped us like design the production because we knew we had little time. But discussing with Vinicius, at some point we thought, oh, let's do like a real sex party. But then fast we decided not to do it just because it would be like something too similar to what we know, and it would be more interesting if we tried not having the drugs. Also because Vinicius was trying not to use it, and well, all of them are real actors that I chose because at different points they told me they had a thing with chemsex.
Okay.
So I knew they had experience on that, but they were also like trained actors. So, and to me it was interesting to put them in a situation that they were trying to simulate something that is very hard to fake in, and I thought it was going to be interesting just to for their reducing harm reduction, for their harm reduction, because they are people who are really trying not to use it, so why would real drugs in the film? And then also for the experience as actors trying to get into a level of to try to reach something that is given by a substance, but only with their bodies and their art form, you know. And then showing the sex, because to me it's a very natural part of life, and I love having sex in films.
And yeah, because also when they were acting, like using drugs, the body answered as they use it sometimes in the film. So the body responded as they use it, as if they use it.
I think they put themselves in situation and they are making the same like gestures, or when they do the slamming at the end, they put the arm up. They, after talking to them, they would say they would like the gestures would help feeling the same.
Kind of the body memory sort of thing.
The body memory, yes.
Are there any other classic figures in literature that you want to see showing up in any gay orgies? Are there any other great figures of literature that you would like to see showing up in a gay
Yeah,
orgy?
we can do like many sequels.
Who's going to be next? Mrs. Holloway?
No, I have to think about it. We have some.
You can say to us a Californian writer. So there's a superhero in California, you have some writer in California.
He was a Californian writer for the next orgy.
Yeah, I think maybe a jump dating character would really be good. I feel like maybe the audience has a question or two, and I think this is an interesting film to sort of gauge how you want to think. Does someone have a question in the audience? If you do, raise your hand right there.
So, well, I mean, first off, this film gave me an erection throughout much of it, and also made me feel like all sorts of emotions throughout that, especially towards the end. I was very impressed with how little editing, there was lots of very long takes. And I was curious as to how much was scripted, how much was encouraged, if there was any kind of screenplay or writing, or did you just tell people to just go for it?
Actually, I met the actors one day before shooting. They came to my house, that's my apartment, and I told them a bit about what I was thinking, and that they could like create a fake name for them to, if that would make them feel more comfortable. That they could create a character if they wanted, and not much more. But then I chose an order for them to come, like the order of the guests, and then we would shoot like 15-20 minutes and let them like improvise, and then we would stop, and then we and me and myself like decide what do next. And sometimes we would like repeat something they did, like the book, and we asked like, oh, we need this again because I liked it, and let me show it in a better way with the camera and with the photographer, like, oh, put it right here, and or we would really decide, oh, now I think we should like talk about our paranoia. So you get all like lying down in the bed and you are just like saying things. So sometimes it was a bit scripted, but it was like scripted every 20 minutes, like, no, we should go a bit towards that way or that way. So it was very free.
Yeah, it was important to the actors also bring the experience of lives. So at more time, they came with more experience. They bring naturally, and then also the sex. The chemistry came like not so easy. So maybe more time. They more. They show more intimacy.
Does anyone else Matias have a question? Okay, yeah, right there.
Because the plot of the movie goes from showing the pleasures of chemsex to like the dangers of it, it's hard not to walk away with like the feeling that it's bad, or that like the movie is making a moral call on whether one should do it or not. Is that what you intended, or did you intend to show it as like a varied and complex experience?
I think we shot at first the sets and everything, and then I thought, oh, I need the fictional character to come. So that was the second day when I brought the actress. She wasn't planned to be there. So yeah, the film was creating itself while we were shooting, so I felt like, oh, she should come. And then I think that middle part is complex also, because Vinicius is like very fragile, talking about his pains and how he's trying to get out of it. And then we went editing for a couple of months, and then we felt like, oh, I need something else. Something is missing. I still felt it was a bit romanticized, although I think it's complex, and I think drugs can give you pleasure, but it's also, you know, very complicated, everything around it. And then G.H.B, he was a friend of mine, and he saw some pictures on Instagram of our shooting, and he said, oh, I want to be in the film, I want to be in the film, I want to say my story.
It's the last character.
Yeah, the last character. And I said, well, that's perfect. So be in the film, and then we shot that months after. And, well, I don't think the film does, I think the film tries to make it complex, but I myself, I think I have like a moral thing, because as it's said in the film, since the pandemic in São Paulo, and I think all over the world, and even before, of course, there are some very heavy shit going on, and people are like killing themselves and losing their lives, and just like, and I wouldn't like to see like our community dying just because of that. So I think there is maybe, yes, a moral statement, because there are some very bad drugs that are made to kill people, and I think they are sold as like freedom, and we are gays, we want to try, and we think we have a very like, we are daring and whatever, and we can do everything, but that's not quite the way it goes. I think there are some limits, I guess, for us to keep going and trying to make a better world. We have to be alive. So, yes.
I don't get the sense, one thing I think that is distinctive of this film is I don't get the sense that it doesn't feel didactic in a way that I feel like a lot of films that have tackled this issue do, where it sort of looks down upon it, or it sort of looks like, I don't know, sexually upon, like a sort of lurid fascination with sex. I think there's something that's very nuanced and very compelling and complicated about the way that the film deals with sex and gays. I think it's all the time we have. Is that right? Please give a round of applause.
I want to make a video for Vinicius, so can you applause?
And also don't forget to vote for the audience award. That QR code should be going on for another 10 minutes or so. There's also in the lobby, you can also scan the QR code. 5 is good, 1 is